I am going to make sure that we are live. Like we said, this is the second time we're doing this virtual happy hour. So I'm going to fingers crossed that this is all going to plan. So let me see. It's exciting. Oh, I see one person's here. Platforms. I gotta look on Facebook and look on YouTube. Yeah. Now, if this is the first time that you're here, you guys can actually go ahead and type in. I should be able to get the questions that you guys have. Excellent. Tiffany saying that we are live. How exciting. So let me find the last time we were live so I can send you guys, if you guys need those, if you guys want to ask a question in the chat box, I should be able to get all of the different ones and be able to have you guys message me. Tiffany, can you do me a big favor? Can you please try that for me? Can you go ahead and put in something in the chat box? That way I can see if we're rocking and rolling here. I just want to make sure that that is all set. You in the chat box. Yeah. All righty, guys. When you guys ask a question, you're actually going to see it just like this. Hey, Heidi, great to see you here. Thank you so much for being here. And Dawn, Tiffany, great to see you guys all here live. Thank you so much. So what's awesome about these virtual happy hours is I am here with you. I got me a nice glass of wine. I am going to be able to help you. And whatever questions you have live, I'm here to answer them. Tiffany, if you can do me a favor, can you put in the chat box the links if anyone wants to let them know that there's a way that you can actually click on a link and you just do it one time with Restream, and then we'll be able to see your name, because Facebook wants to protect your privacy, which we totally understand. The chat box. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and start working through my Facebook group. If you guys have any questions, like I said, please go ahead and put them right in the chat box, and I will go ahead and answer them. In the group. Hey, Anne, great to see you here. I love when you guys are here. It's really fun, I'm not gonna lie. And thank you guys for being here with me, even though we're having technical difficulties. It's like anything, right? You're trying to do everything and learn it, and this will be fun. So, tastes like victory. So this is, I have a little bit of bubble, so Prosecco, and then I add Chambord. And every time I get it when I go out, they go, oh, how dark do you want it? And I go, well, I want it like Bloods of Your Enemies. That's how dark I want it, please. Oh, so Dawn's got a great question. Her question is, how can I sell an established, reputable business renting the space? So this is an excellent question. So I'm going to actually leave this up in case if anyone is coming in later. I hope that's fine, Dawn. So we're actually going to be doing, I believe it's in one of our podcasts. It's either Grow Wealthy Grooming or the podcast. We're actually going to be talking about what questions to ask when buying a business. So I will say this, is that when you're selling a business, there are, and I'm really going to simplify it, okay? Are they buying assets only, where when they're buying it, they're just buying your stuff and what's called goodwill, which is basically your reputation, and you saying, no, I like this new owner, they're wonderful, I'd love to do that, right? What are they buying specifically? Because if they're just buying your equipment and your reputation, Remember, a lot of that reputation is generally with you guys. Hi, 90 Jones. Yes. So there is a link that Tiffany just put up, just if you guys see it. That is a link. If you guys want to, if you want to be able to message, you'll be able to do it right there. So, but going back to Dawn's question. So what I would actually ask you is to say, what are they buying specifically? Are they buying, and don't take this the wrong way, are you a solopreneur? Do you have a bunch of employees that are going to stay on afterwards? Are they buying what's called a going concern, which means that they can come in, it's turnkey, they already have employees, there's already a manager in place, and what they're going to do is just open that business up immediately, and they're not going to have to do anything. Maybe some, paperwork and things like that, but the business runs by itself. Or are they going to have to be the manager of that business with employees? Or are they just buying, and I don't mean this in a mean way, are they essentially buying a job? So Dawn is saying turnkey. So by turnkey, do you have employees right now that are already in place that are going to definitely stay? Or is it just for them? And this is really important because a lot of times what we forget is people that want to invest and buy grooming businesses, especially, want to be able to just walk in the door and start their, just take it over. No different than if you were buying a nail salon or if you were buying a hair salon, right? Most people buying a hair salon don't want to have to actually do hairdressing. They don't want to have to be the nail tech, etc. So she's saying yes. So perfect. So my next question for you, and I'm sorry that all of my questions end in a question, but this is important, guys. This is why I say there's no cookie cutter stuff. So for Dawn, the next question I would have is, okay, do you want to sell it to a groomer and maybe not get top dollar? Or do you want to sell it to somebody who is not, or could maybe someday become a groomer, but is currently not a groomer, but has a nice big bag of cash? Those are two very different buyers for a grooming salon. And for a lot of us, we only want to sell to a groomer or someone we can trust, right? And for some of us, we'd rather get the most money, and there's no wrong answer to either one. And Dawn says, yes, a groomer. Okay. So if we're going to sell it to a groomer, we have to remember we're in a groomer drought. And who is this person that's going to want to buy your business? Have you already talked to your employees about it? Is there any of your employees that are interested in buying out the business? And are you going to sell it what's called owner financing? I know, girly. So Dawn said, it's my baby. I've been there for 23 years. So no matter what, as somebody who sold two businesses, sorry, get out of here. I love you. Speaking of babies, right? As someone who sold two businesses, what we have to remember is that when we sell the business, we have to accept the fact that they can go in, they can gut it, they can destroy it the second that you leave. And that's really heartbreaking. It's really, really tough when you're selling a business that you feel like you've put a majority of your life or you've really sacrificed for that business. Right. So for me, when I sold my grooming salon, that was the reason I missed my son's first steps. That shop was supposed to be, I wanted to pass that down to my son. I had all these amazing dreams. And when I sold it, it was really, really hard because I felt like I was selling one of my kids. And it was really hard too, because I did sell it to an employee who worked there who agreed with the magic of everything that I was running. And then she changed everything the second I left. So first things first, Dawn, I would say grieve that. Grieve the fact that as soon as you give it to somebody else, it's no longer our baby. Any of you guys who have ever okay. So I don't know if Dawn, if you're in the show world, but it reminds me a lot of when you have a show dog, you breed the dog, you have this dog for 5 or 6 years, and then you have to decide, okay, am I going to rehome this dog, spay and home this dog? Or am I going to give it a new home? And when you have to give those dogs to new homes, or you end up like me, who had 16 dogs at one time because I did not want to home any of my dogs. It's really hard. It's hard because it's run its course, and you're really emotionally attached, and you're really proud of what you've built. So I know it's really hard, but one thing I want you to do is acknowledge that you've done everything that you're meant to do. Dawn said, that's why I'm not interested in that. Be specific, Dawn, just because there's always going to be a little delay. What are you not interested in? You're not interested in having somebody run it who's going to change it? Or I want to make sure that we're clear. And don't mind me, I'm going to drink my wine. Sis, listen, I feel like we could do this like every day. Like I could just like pull up a glass of wine. Dawn saying show dogs. Exactly. That's a lot of the reason I got out of showing dogs, because I had an excessive amount of dogs and I just didn't want to home any of them. And I couldn't be there when the puppies got picked up because it just like killed me. It was really hard. Like this was someone's like, they're picking up their puppy and they love it. And for me, it was like my heart was getting ripped out. This puppy that I'd spent all this time with, right? All right. So it is hard. So I would mourn it, because even when you sell it, you're not going to have any control over it. And if you don't want to own or finance, then I want you to figure out what is that number that you're going to be happy with selling it. And are you going to mentor this groomer to get to know your clients? I know it's hard. Listen, I'm not saying it's easy. And I feel like sometimes my job is to kind of give you guys a little bit of unfortunate reality. I don't want to. What I want to tell you is that you're going to find that unicorn groomer who has a bag of cash, and she's going to do everything exactly the way you've been doing it for 20 years, right? But the reality is that the newer generations, right, the millennials and the Gen Zs are just not, they're just doing everything different. I look at the shops that I worked at 15 years ago and how most of the people are moving away from those traditional style shops. So Dawn is saying she would finance. So first things first, I would say, okay, who is you guys hear my soulmate clients, my soulmate that I would sell this business to. If you were to design the perfect groomer in your head, and again, sometimes when we're doing things like this with marketing, what we're doing is we're storytelling. We are fantasizing about exactly who that would be. Now, we could be totally wrong, right? Maybe this isn't the person, but first things first, let's imagine. So for you, Dawn, do you live in an area that people are moving to, or places that people have been there historically? So a good example would be, is this a place in Tennessee, or is this a place in New Jersey? Hey, Erin, great to see you're alive. So for instance, if you are the kind of person that has a shop, let's say in New Jersey, where people they're diehards, right? They grew up in New Jersey, their family's been in New Jersey, they're New Jersey for life, right? Those are very different people than if you are in Tennessee, where there's lots of new groomers moving to the area all the time. Dawn said, I've actually moved away from traditional grooming. We are more concerned about skin and coat. I'm going to butcher that. It's Badava. And then I'm hoping that's Illinois, but I'm not positive. I'm so bad with my, yes, people move in all the time. Perfect. So ready? So we can either focus on trying to sell it to somebody who is moving into the area, right? And I mean, that's a great option. So we could always market it to somebody who lives in New York and they're considering moving to a cheaper place to live, but they're scared about leaving either their shop or leaving their mobile. There's a ton of mobiles that are selling their vans in the Northeast and then moving to the Midwest or moving down south. So one option would be to market it and say, you come down, we're going to sell it. We can either sell it for a cheaper lump sum or selling it for a decent down payment and then certain things. Now, also, Dawn, don't forget, you can also, depends on if you want to work for that person, if you want to just completely sever it, if you want to retire. I've seen deals where groomers sell their business, but they have a 2-year working contract or a buyout contract, for instance. And you do need to contact a lawyer and find out your legalities, blah, blah, blah. But I'm a big fan of those too. If you want to work in the business and not completely leave, for another year or two, you can always sell it with a contract saying that they promise employment at a certain salary, and it can be commission or salary, whichever's higher, right, for 2 years, or they have to buy you out. So, let's say you're guaranteed $60,000 a year for a salary, and you're going to groom this many pets for 2 years, or for $100,000, they can buy you out of that contract on top of the sale price. So those are always options too, if you want to get more money out of it. But when you're going to sell these businesses, it's like, how much is it netting profit without you grooming? And I agree, mentoring someone is one of the best things you can do, because you do want a smooth transition. You want them to take over the space and help everyone and get in rhythm with it. And if you're involved in skin and coat, depending upon what that means to you, now people are doing so many different things. It's really an amazing front in grooming where everyone has these amazing opportunities. We don't have to just be dog shavers. We can be whatever we want to be. You can be feeling exclusive. You can be a skin and coat specialist. You can be specialized in Asian fusion or hand strip terriers or just hand scissoring, whatever it is that you want. But for you, Dawn, without knowing all of the information, I would either try to start marketing to people that are out of your state and say, hey, if you're interested in moving to a lower cost of living place, I'm selling my business. It includes, let's say, 6 months of mentoring, right? Or whatever it is, an overlap where you're going to mentor them and have them come in. And during that time, they can be making payments to you, right? So if they're working for you for 6 months, and if they don't give that down payment, or if they do a down payment, and then if they're not making their payments for those 6 months, and at 6 months, they're either going to get a loan or you're going to own or finance it. So I know that's a lot of options, and I wish I could give you like a very specific answer, but being live, it's tough because we'd have to really look at the nitty gritty. I'd have to say, okay, how much money is this business bringing in and all of that. And I do want to give time if anyone else has any more questions. But this is a great topic. And I think that we're not talking enough about people that are ready to sell their business. I do think it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go of something that has been this amazing piece of your life. I see that a lot with people that have lived, my grandparents have lived in the same house now for over 50 years. My grandpa passed and they had been married for 64 years. And my grandmother may need to move, and this house is everything to her. And we're trying very hard to keep her in that house, but there's a lot of, she's having memory issues and things like that. But when you think about that, right? Like, that house is not just a house. It's where her kids were raised. It's all these important moments in her life. And a lot of times I think we forget that our grooming salon is where, if we've owned it, especially as long as you have for over 20 years, maybe your kids came there. Maybe you had some of the best and the worst news of your life there, the best moments of your life even, right? It's just so hard. And I know that, and I really want to honor that. So Dawn ended with, been such a help, and I appreciate all the options you have present to us. Thank you so much. And if you get more questions, Dawn, feel free to present them into Savvy Pet Professionals, or come back next time. Next month, we're going to do another live. And if you have kind of sifted and sorted through those things, then let's talk. Let's talk more. I know it really kills me and breaks my heart, because I feel that, it was like ripping off my arm, and I had only owned my shop for 5 years. I can't even imagine, hey, Claudia, great to see you here live. I know, I'm like all sad. I'm like, hi, Claudia. Oh, it's just I'm on my feels at the moment. My grooming salon is where I mean, that saved my life. I was pregnant living in my car, and my shop is where I moved. Illegal, don't do that, but it was what it was. And I just think to myself, and it was really hard too when I had moved on and sold the shop, and then she just changed everything. It killed me. Um, and that's an unfortunate reality. I feel like part of my journey is to fall on my face and do everything wrong and have all the bad things happen so I can tell you. And I think that no matter what, you have to be okay with that because, I think I have a little bit more experience too with my son's dad. We didn't have the best start together. We never lived together. We were never a really solid couple. And we split when my son was pregnant. And having to co-parent with him and acknowledge that he will never be who I want him to be for my son. And having to let go of that control, because no matter what, we're never going to see eye to eye. That really helped me. And I feel like that prepared me to grieve my shop because my ex is a Scorpio and they're the most come hell or high water. I'm a Scorpio cusp, but he just couldn't reason with him. And you still can't, he's a good man now, but back then he just wanted me to hurt. So he wasn't who I needed him to be. He wasn't who I wanted my son's father to be, but it was what it was. And accepting what I couldn't change, I think that was a big lesson for me. And I feel like when we're selling our shops, it's basically like we're handing our child over to their dad who isn't perfect because their dad will never be their mom, right? And I know that sounds so terrible. And Dawn's saying my ex is a Scorpio too. Listen, groomers be attracted to crazy, yo. Claudia's a Scorpio. Listen, some of my best friends are Scorpios. I'm a Scorpio cusp. I'm a Sagittarius with Scorpio cusp. If you notice, a lot of speakers are Scorpios. A lot of terrier people are Scorpios. I love them to death, but they are life or death, yes or no. Your best friend or your worst enemy. They are a tough bunch of people. Linda's like, I'm a Scorpio too. I feel like this is like Spartacus. I'm a Scorpio. No, I'm a Scorpio. Yeah. I bet you $1,000 and that if I had to guess the zodiac sign, I would guess 3. I would guess most groomers are either Scorpios, Tauruses, or Aquariuses. At least their sun sign. Let's be clear, their sun sign. I would assume that. Scorpios are stubborn. They're the scorpion, but they're also the phoenix, which is the birth and the death. Their planet is Pluto, and they're just a very interesting person. Dawn's a Cancer. Well, Dawn, let's be very fair here too. If you're a Cancer, you are one of the nice water signs, and Cancers are very family oriented. They can be a little moody and crabby. So it's so funny. We could go through a whole astrology one. Well, so Dawn, and this is really ready, if you guys want, I'm really into astrology. I'm very granola crunchy like that. So you always want to look at what your sun, moon, and rising. So my sun is in Sagittarius, Scorpio cusp. My moon, which is my emotional sense, is a Taurus. So Sagittariuses tend to be very flaky, in a nice way. They're very promiscuous. But because my moon is in Taurus, they're very loyal. They're very grounded. They're a little lazy. So when I'm home, I'm like, this is my house. I want nice things. I don't let anyone come over my house. So it's so funny. I started doing these retreats and everyone in my life's like, you're going to let strangers in your personal life? I'm like, I'm going to invite the people I like. I love this. Listen, we could talk. I have very expensive astrology software. So I can actually pinpoint if you guys have your birthday, your birthplace, and your time and everything, we can pull up all this stuff. That would be so, oh my God, I would love to do that. The Savvy Groomer / like the astrology. That's amazing. Anna's saying Pisces. So Pisces, again, another water sign. That's very interesting. Do I attract water signs or what's going on here? Very interesting. Elizabeth is a Leo. Leo, man. Do you do hand scissor cuts? I want to know, like, are your haircuts like super on point? Every Leo groomer I know have like basically like really beautiful show cuts, or they're like going towards that, or standardized breed cuts. Erin's an Aries. So Erin, depending upon what your moon is rising is, you're definitely like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go for it. That's it. Like I've decided. So, but I love that everyone has like, it's so interesting because I'm into like astrology and human design. That's really fascinating too. If you guys ever looked into that, like I'm a 1-3 manifesting generator, which is so weird. It's all weird because like the more you read into it, and Erin's saying, yep, my way of thinking. Yeah. And that's also, it's funny. I really prefer, if I could, with all my coaching clients, if I could get your full chart before we started, that would actually help me a lot. Because then, like, I love Pisces. Don't take this offensively, but they're very sensitive. I'm like trying to be. Dawn says, what if you don't know what time you're born? A lot of times it's on your birth certificate. If not, and again, listen, for those of you guys that are not granola crunchy like I am, be prepared to be like taken down the weird path. There's actually a machine, and I have friends of friends that are really in the spiritual world, and they actually have a machine that can actually calculate through your vibration certain aspects of your spiritual self. So they actually have a service where they can give you an estimation. They can set this machine up, set it to your frequency, and they can give you a best guess of the time of day and time you were born. And because I am kind of a jerk, I actually had it tested. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it told me I was born at 12:30, and I was actually born at 12:16. So that was really crazy. I'm one of those people I'm like, I don't think this is real. I'm going to prove it's not real. And it was really crazy. So it was really fascinating. I'm really fascinated all that stuff. So Elizabeth is saying 7:30 p.m. So if you guys ever want to know more about astrology, now this is going into astrology. I know. So what's fun is you can actually pull up, there's tons of stuff. You look up what's called your full chart, and you can go what day you were born, what time you're born, and where you're born. That's to help with the time zone. And then it tells you a ton of stuff about you. And then if you want to project what's going on, it helps a lot. So, so for things like for me, excuse you, like because I'm single, will look often in where my Venus is going. Why? Because if my Venus is going into Aries, your girl does not go out. Why? Because she's going to be impulsive, and she's going to just be like, no, like this guy's amazing. Like, obviously, versus I know if my Venus is moving into, and again, I know it sounds so silly, right? But I, even if it's just for fun, it's funny. Let me help you with your business. Everyone else, do astrology. It's fun. Listen, it's pretty fun. Next thing you know, I'll end up sending everyone their charts. Let me see. Elizabeth. Yeah, Tiffany's saying, I think astrology is so interesting. Let me see if I can pull this up. So Elizabeth, I'll do Elizabeth. If nobody else, if anyone has any grooming business questions, let me know. If not, I'm pulling up Elizabeth's chart. Elizabeth, I need the day, the time, and where you were born. So Claudia, what I'm sipping is, this is actually Prosecco, and it's got Chambord. So I love that. This is it's a ghetto Crow Royale. So Linda has some great questions. So she wants to know any advice on burnout. So first things first, I have a ton of stuff in both the Grow Wealthy Grooming and my blog about burnout. And so whenever we have burnout, the question is it physical, is it financial, or is it emotional? Right? So what's going on? Is it a tough personal time? Is it you're not making enough money, or is it that you've pushed your body beyond? What was really interesting, if you guys ever use my Tiffany, could you do me a favor? Could you post the link to the business library? In the business library, we have a bunch of classes that talk specifically about burnout and how to start whittling it down. One thing that I thought was really fascinating was that burnout, if you actually have burnout, it takes a minimum of 1 year to recover from actual burnout. And that's that's a crazy long time. I thought that was so fascinating. All the research I was doing on how to cure burnout. So of course it takes so much more time to heal, because none of us are actually taking that time. So whenever someone has burnout, my first question is always, are you making enough money to be able to take some time off or go easy? And most people are like, nope, I don't have enough time. Well, if you don't have enough time to, if you have enough money to take time off, then the first thing we need to do is probably a massive price increase. We probably need to do a massive price increase. And what happens with that price increase is that we're actually going, okay, who is worth keeping and what's my happy price to keep the people that really aren't worth keeping, right? And that's really, really tough because it's figuring out, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? And if you guys are interested, I am going to be doing a webinar on the 8th, and we're going to be talking about membership models. I'm a big fan of membership models. They are absolutely amazing. They allow you to cut down to your soulmate client, get clients to commit to you. But there's so many things about burnout. It's like, okay, first thing, am I making more than enough? Let's say I am making more than enough. If I'm making more than enough and I can't take time off, then is it a boundary issue? Yeah, Tiffany, you can share the free workshop page. That'd be great. We want to do that next. Hang on one second, guys. Sorry about that. The neighbors, I think, fell. I got nervous because I heard a big bang, but they're fine. I'm just going to drink my wine. So yeah, with your burnout, it's just figuring out, okay, why is it? What is it? Linda's saying, I'm 57 and want to make more money and my salon is in a low-income area. Well, one thing I always mention is, even if you're in a low-income area, that doesn't mean that everyone is poor, right? What you want to do is go around your town. I would do the Attract Soulmate and the Identify Soulmate client classes, because what I would want you to do is go around town and actually look at it. Do you have a Starbucks? Does anyone drive a higher-end car? Is everyone poor? And if they are poor, what is poor? Is that the median income is $30,000 a year, or is it $40,000? Look up Zillow. What is the average rental for a 2-bedroom apartment? If it's $2,000, that means that someone needs to make $6,000 to $8,000 a month in order to afford it. So sometimes we make up stories, or what used to be true 10 years ago is not now. There are so many places that are really, really changing. Okay. And I love that people are sharing all their zodiac signs. Linda, you're saying that you're not the one burnt out. The whole industry, man, listen, we're in a revolution right now. We are getting rid of this crap. I feel like there's so many people that have been just suffering in silence for so long that as an industry, we've just had enough. We have not kept up with inflation. Doodles have absolutely destroyed this industry. I had a podcast that I record for a doodle podcast, And I explained to them, like, we didn't have big dogs. And then all of a sudden, half our schedule is big dogs. Let's say we charge $50 for a Shih Tzu. We weren't worried about charging only $100 for a Doodle. Why? Because we didn't think they were going to last. We didn't think they were going to be there forever. And now Doodles need to be $200 to $500. And a lot of us don't have the stomach to charge that. So we need to just get rid of them. Adrian just said, need the info on the membership Zoom coming up, whether it be a follow-up masterclass for it. Yes. So it's going to be a free workshop. It's on August 8th. Tiffany just posted it. It's savvygroomer.com/MW. And yes, we are launching the membership masterclass. And we are having a membership retreat actually at my place, which is going to be awesome. We had a price increase retreat. That was amazing. We all sat down and had a powwow about our prices and like really had great support for each other. And then the membership, it took a long time for us to really boil that all down. Heidi asked, and this is a great question too, would it be unrealistic for a shop to pull in $1,000 per day with one groomer or 5 to 6 dogs a day? So really quickly, because I'm lazy, let me see if this is going to let me. Let me see if I can share screen. It's not letting me do what I want to do. So where's my phone? Let me find that phone. So whenever we have a question, we always want to pull up our calculator. So let's say $600, right? $1,000 divided by 6 dogs a day. Well, that's 160. You can't see it because I blurred it out. 166.666. So 167, right? And then $1,000 divided by 5 dogs. That's $200 a day. So is it unrealistic? Well, it depends. What do you want to do? What kind of dogs do you want to do? And are you going to be niche enough? So I have plenty of mobiles that were originally $65 to $85 for a small dog and now charge $150 to $200. You have to remember too, when you only have 5 or 6 dogs a day, that's not a lot of people. That's only 20 people a week, 20 to 25 people a week, realistically. Right? It's only 100 people. A lot of times we're so focused on who these people are, which I agree we need to do our attract and identify soulmate client. But 100 people, if you have a town of even 10,000 people, or if you have an area within an hour that has 10,000 people, it's not even 1%. You need less than 1% of people to pay for your services. And there's so many people that are looking for you. If you can really flesh out what they want, what you have to offer, and speak to them, right? You can do it. It's just a matter of believing in yourself, getting your message really strong, making sure that when that client talks to you in whatever way that is, whatever that client flow is, they're like, man, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And just shut up and take my money. I pay a tremendous amount of money for my cat to go to cat exclusive vet. Why? Because I trust them. Yes. So Heidi's is saying 75 now, storefront, all small dogs, 15 under. Yeah. So if you did, I'm not saying this is what you need to do, but if you had a membership, and again, all a membership is I commit to you, commit to me. Because a lot of you guys, what you end up doing, right, is that you have committed to these clients, but they haven't committed to you, right? You've agreed that you're willing to close your books, not take new clients, hold a spot for them. But where's the mutualness, right? All right. While you guys are looking, let me see who the first person was that gave their information. I'll pull up their chart. That'll be fun. It's always fun. Oh, Erin did. If I can pull this up, if it'll let me. All right, so let's create a new chart. I know this is fun too. Born in Erin, it's saying Rockville Center. Is that it? You were born. I need the year, Erin. I don't know if you know this, but my kid's 12th as well. Oh, yeah, I think we've talked about that. Good birthday. Means you're trouble, but it's a good birthday. Erin's like, I'm not telling you my age. 1977. Okay. So here we go. For fun, why not? And if you guys have more grooming questions, we can always answer that as well. But this is fun too. So let me move this out of the way. I've got my chat. So this is Erin. So Erin, her sun is here in Aries and in the 8th house. And her moon is in Aquarius. And your north node's in Libra. That's fascinating. Where's your rising? Hang on. Oh, here we go. Your Virgo rising. So what's fun is like we can click on all this information and we can find out everything that essentially you are, or at least what it's saying you are, right? Because that's the question too. So for instance, like, if we wanted to go to, I don't want to make this too crazy because it's a lot of information too. Like, so we could always like do a transit or a compatibility. So what I do whenever I meet a guy is I do a relationship or a compatibility. You can also see like solar returns, which are basically like points in time. But like for me, whenever I look at someone's chart, the most important things are their sun, their moon, and their rising. And then Chiron, which is your wounded warrior, your wounded healer, rather. So what that is like the pain that you're going to have to learn in order to teach other people, which is in Taurus. And then I want to know your north node. So what you're meant to learn in this lifetime. So your north node is your 2nd house. And your south node, so it's always opposite. So blah, blah, blah. Personally focusing on forming close partnership attachments. You may have difficulties in marriage or partnerships, but there are great rewards to be gained in this area. In past lives, you have been concerning yourself being alone, but now you must make the transition to be mostly concerned with others. This concern for other people does not come naturally for you. It's easier for you to rely on yourself, as you have always done, right? And then we come up here. This placement gives you personally somewhat focused around issues with money and material possessions. So again, if I was looking at this person's chart, I would say, they would have anxiety around money. So because that's what's going on in their life or what they've learned. This lesson, you must learn to marshal your own forces and resource on yourself. So you've got a lot of unfortunately, things that are just pulling and tugging at you. So someone like Erin, if I were to look at her north node in her placements, unfortunately, she must feel like she's being ripped apart at all times. It's like she'll feel like she feels really comfortable and happy and like everything's going with the flow. And then she'll feel like it's all falling apart. So yeah, it's really fascinating. And with a Virgo rising, that's pretty interesting too. And if you guys look here, she's pretty even with her elements, but her water's low. So somebody might say and I don't know Erin super well, but people might say you need to be more emotional. That is always a possibility too. So they might be you're too logical or you're too grounded. Maybe you need to worry more. I mean, you definitely have money worries and you're definitely struggling in this lifetime at this moment with relationships and having that. Mine's just as difficult. Mine is I'm a North Node Pisces, so I'm supposed to learn how to just be and not work myself to death, and that's not fun. It's not fun. I don't want that. So I have to learn not to be a workaholic, which is interesting. But yeah, astrology is really fun. All right, guys. Do you guys have any more questions, or we still have another 13 minutes? And if anyone in that 13 minutes, if you don't have any more questions, I'm more than happy to pull up one more person's chart. I know, I'm laughing. I'm like, here, come to virtual happy hour, where if we don't have grooming questions and business questions, I'll pull up everyone's chart. Why not? I don't do tarot for other people, but I've got some really fun decks too. I love all that. It's so much fun. And I just love pulling all that stuff up. It's so much fun. And again, maybe it's not real. Who knows? It could just be all in our head. I'm glad to say I'm getting my LLC this week. Any advice? So when you're getting an LLC, it's generally so that you can start separating things, right? So this is going to be, creating a limited liability company is what LLC stands for. One thing I would ask your, and I want to make sure too, have you chosen to get an LLC, or is this what your accountant suggested? Because a lot of people are moving to S Corps depending upon how much money you're making. And I would definitely ask them, what is the better tax rate? The LLC, which is going to be, generally speaking, a sole proprietor, or if it's going to be that. The other thing I would suggest too is whatever you make your LLC, you can either make it something that is your business name or make it something really random. If you guys have ever seen Better Call Saul, it's like, oh God, was it like Ice something Zebra? You can make it totally random. It's irrelevant. But I don't suggest making your LLC your name or having your name in it, but it's fine to have your business name. And you can actually check depending upon what your business name is. Most counties, you can check to see if there's a similar name to your business name, because obviously you don't want an LLC of something very close. I've seen that happen where groomers will have a kind of a generic name, and then another groomer makes a very similar generic name and they'll accidentally get sued. So because they'll be filing against, Cuddles and Bubbles, and you're Bubbles and Cuddles, right? And I'm not saying that's what your business's name is, but something along those lines, right? And they're like, okay, I should have done this. Linda said I got an LLC because my former employee sued all her employers. Well, just remember, an LLC in theory protects you, but anyone can sue you for any reason. And it depends on why she sued you. And depending upon, it's important for your accountant to be real with you of what it protects you from and what it does not. People assume if they have an LLC, they can't be sued personally, and that's just not true. You are more likely to not. It's like having a waiver, guys. A waiver doesn't stop you from getting sued. What it does is, in theory, protect you when you go to court. So that's really tough. So Linda's saying, is all your information on your website? So I have a lot of information on my website. Do I have everything? That's a great question to ask my team. They are always really wonderful at creating what are called funnels and organizing things. And we are still organizing. I have a lot of free content. If you guys go on my YouTube, I have a lot of free content. And I have a lot of stuff for my workshops. And we're trying to figure out a great way to help you guys get the information you need in different buckets. It's really tough because the grooming industry is so diverse. I hired someone to help me organize my website and really get everything figured out. And she's like, oh my God, wait, they could be mobile? I'm like, yeah. She's like, or they could have a shop. Yeah. Or they could have a shop with employees. Yeah. Or they could be house call. She's like, I'm like, yeah. She's like, so how do you keep everyone organized? I'm like, we just take it for granted, right? Versus it's just so funny because our industry is so diverse and we don't even think about it. So if you guys are looking for my website, it may not let me post it, but this is what my website is. It's savvygroomer.com. Really easy. It's 2 V's, VVY. So we've got like great content there. YouTube has so much free stuff, guys. Like if you guys are not yet ready to invest in any of my products, please don't be afraid to go ahead and watch. I literally have hundreds of hours on my YouTube. We're moving towards the podcast, having more episodes. I'm actually recording 5 episodes this week. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm going to be able to get my podcast ahead of time. We're trying to get all of that content for you guys. That way you can do all of that. And like I said, if you're not ready to invest, it's okay. I have lots of free stuff. The only thing I ask in return is pass along the information because like Linda was saying, like it's good for her to know she's not alone. I have my free Facebook group that I'm in. I do live randoms where I'm just like, I had this thought and I'm just going to go live. I'm here for you guys. I know things are changing and I'm hoping they're changing for the better. I really like doing this kind of loosey-goosey happy hour once a week and then recording the other ones. I think that's just better because when you guys are here live, you only have to come once a month instead of coming every week and feeling disappointed that you missed me, right? But then we get to have like an hour together and we just chit chat and hang out. This is my favorite kind of thing to do. I do this with my group mentoring. It's really fun. Today, we just spent like 2 hours shooting the shit. And we talked about business, of course. But it's just nice to have people here. It's more fun this way. It's more fun to talk with you guys and get to know you and, and do fun things like, hey, we've got some extra time. Let me pull up your chart. Right? Like that's way more fun than having to just drill you guys on a topic. So, we have 6 minutes left. Does anyone have any more questions or anything else I can support you guys in? If not, I will love you and leave you. I am so grateful that I've been able to come on live and have everyone here live. I'm going to put that up there, Anne. You made my heart so full. And said, I love your stuff. It's giving me the courage to do price increase without the guilt. 1000%. I think it's so important for you guys to remember that, this is a hard job. We all know it's a hard job. You need to be paid your worth. A lot of us have not done the increases that we needed to. It's because we love the animals. Like, it's so weird to say. Like, we all know that. But I see so many people that haven't increased their prices more than $5 or $10 in 20 years. Housing prices have gone up 4 times, right? I'll look at someone in California and I'm like, okay, this condo went for $150 in 2014 and now it's $550. We're just trying to keep ourselves above water. So I really, really appreciate all you guys. Listen, don't beat yourself up. Listen, whenever I use an example, it's never you. It's just the collective. Like we all do the same shit. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. Like I did tons of stupid stuff when I had my shop, right? I had the illegal 1099 groomers. Why? Because when I went into Facebook groups, that's what everyone said to do. They said just 1099 your groomers. And I was like, oh, I guess it's just what you do, right? We're just told to do things in this industry and we don't understand it. Linda said, I would feel bad about increases. Well, I think that's what's tough too, is I feel like sometimes groomers forget. And if we're not doing these increases, what's going to happen is we're going to burn out and we're going to leave. If you asked your customers, I can either double my prices or I can close my doors. If you have the right clients, these soulmate clients, your clients would say, I would triple what I pay you if you will stay. That's the truth. Especially now with this drought, there's so few groomers that they can go to. If you're a good groomer, even if you're a mediocre groomer, if you have good customer service skills and a good heart and you really care for animals, You can make six figures and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. We need more people in this industry. You know what the easiest way for us to get more people in this industry is? Being really happy and making a butt ton of money. Let me tell you, if instead of us telling potential groomers, I get pooped on and people hate me and treat me like crap and I'm not making a ton, no one wants that job. No one wants that job. If you said, you know what? I fired all the assholes. I charge more than enough. And yeah, I get pooped on. We would have more people come to this industry. We have to change. We have to change so that the people that come after us are more than happy to come into this industry. And we need more people. I don't know about you, but like the last thing I want to do is groom till I die. It's not really the life I want for any of you guys. I don't care. Listen, if you want to groom every day, all day, right? If it's a choice, I'm cool with that. If it's something you have to do, I'm not cool with that. So Anna's saying, my salon's in the middle of a retirement community, so I felt bad about raising prices. But since I've been doing it for the last 3 years, last weeks, people have mostly been supportive. The ones who said they aren't coming back make me happy. Yeah. And again, I think sometimes, and I'm going to say this very gently, because I think Anne's a Pisces, I think. You have to remember, it's hard. It is really, really hard. But what people earn, what people do with their money is really not any of our business. If you guys have ever seen the movie Pretty Woman, which most of us have, that scene where Vivian goes in and she looks like she can't afford the dresses. Now, they're really rude to her. But assuming that people are poor is really rude. And we accidentally do that all the time. It feels really good to spend your money. If you have a healthy relationship with money and you don't have fear around money, I have a lot of trauma around money, obviously. But what feels really good is spending money on something I really want. I love leaving $100 tip at a restaurant where I know that person is working their butt off and they have a family. There's one bartender I adore at one of the local bars, and he has 2 kids under 6. His wife cannot work right now due to health reasons. And he works so hard, just a kind soul. And I don't tip him $100, but when I'm there, I tip him as much as I can. But again, a lot of owners don't understand about tipping culture to groomers, right? And a lot of them don't understand what's going on in our industry. They don't. They don't know for the most part, they don't know if you groom 2 dogs a day or 50 dogs a day. They have no idea. And we don't really take the time to educate them. And even then, they're trying to figure it all out. Anne's saying they're retired are better off now than they were 30 years ago. Absolutely. And for better or worse, a lot of them are sitting on gold mines with their houses. And again, if they choose to keep the house and give it to their kids, that's their choice. If they choose to, she's like, I'm not that sensitive. Good. Listen, I have a very good friend of mine who's a Pisces, and I make her cry. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm very blunt. I'm just like, blah. And she's like, you're so mean. Like, I know. And again, like if you live in a community, it's a retirement community, but they bought their house, right? Or they sold their house. Listen, you don't know. It's so funny. I have a client, I have a student that's in South Carolina where I was. And it was so funny because she's like, oh my God, but everyone here is retired. They're this or that. I'm like, where are they from? She said, New York, New Jersey. So, okay. They just sold their house that they bought for $30,000 50 years ago for 1.2. And then they came down here and bought a house for $300. I think they can afford $100 to groom their dog. They may not want to, and that's very different. Not wanting to spend the money and not being able to spend the money are 2 different things, right? Most people that move to retirement communities have money, or at least some money, right? If they didn't, they would move in with their children. The fact that they were able to pack everything up, sell the house that they probably bought for $30,000 to $50,000 or less, right? And they have that money in the bank. Like, we act like, and there are communities of very impoverished elderly people. But then why would they choose to get a dog that needs to get a haircut? Get a Chihuahua. Get a pug, although pugs need de-sheds. Get something small that doesn't shed, or something, I shouldn't say doesn't shed, doesn't need a haircut. If you can't afford to take care of that pet, ideally don't get it. Get a cat. And you know me with cat grooming. I think cats should be groomed too. But get something that you can afford. And I don't feel any worse for someone who is retired than I do for the young family who chooses to get the doodle. And to me, they're the equivalent. If you're a young family with 3 small kids and you get a doodle, you are no more prepared to financially take care of that dog than someone in retirement who has no savings. And I don't think anyone does feel bad for the young couple who get the doodle. You're not accidentally pregnant with a Shih Tzu. You went out and you purchased that dog. The only people I ever feel bad for are the people that the elderly parent did pass away, and they had like 3 toy poodles, and now it's the person who got I always feel bad for those people. Like, it's like the daughter who inherited like 3 little dogs from her mom. That person I always feel bad for. But if you went out and you purchased this dog, you made that decision. Yeah, let's talk about this for a second. And $2,500, and they can afford. Yeah, they cannot. I think it meant is they can't afford to have a groom. Like I said, I was on this Doodle podcast. It's going to be coming out soon. The Doodle Pro, which she's actually really lovely. She's trying very hard to talk with Doodle owners, and I appreciate her educating them. I really love that she's trying to communicate with them. But we did this podcast, and I explained to them, and it's like having platinum blonde hair. You can't have platinum blonde hair and then complain about how much it costs to get it done. Like, you went out and you bought this dog. Granted, they were lied to, but they did more research on their phone or their car than they did the dog. So they'll figure it out, for better or worse. And we don't have to take on the responsibility to subsidize their grooming. We don't. It's not our responsibility. And I think that in a lot of my classes, I talk about the hero, the villain, and the guide. So the hero is what a lot of us groomers want to be. We want to save you. We want to make grooming affordable. We want to make grooming easy. We want to save you, right? If you're the hero long enough and people stop listening, you become the villain. Then you become jaded and you say things like, I'm going to shave it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Right. And you just get mad. That bitter groomer that we all know, that's the villain. And then the guide is very much like, here are your 2 options. Come every 4 weeks, pay this price, or come in every 8 and want to shave your dog naked. Right. Whatever that option is, Linda says, and again, I'm going to be leaving in a few minutes, but really quickly, how do you figure out doodle grooming? So it sounds, we need a big gulp for this. So I actually have a 6 module, which is essentially a 6-hour class on how to figure out what your pricing should be. And then I also have a class called Pricing and Points, and that is in the business library. And Pricing and Points basically explains why we should not be charging by weight. We should not be charging per hour. We should not be charging by a lot of things. What we need to do is figure out what it is that is the most effort. So my rule of thumb for very quick, because like I said, if I could make a class less than 6 hours, I would have. But basically, whatever your Yorkie, small dog under 15 pounds, how much is it? Let's say for easy math, because I'm lazy, it's $100. Well, there's two ways of doing it. One is to say, okay, how many Yorkies at $100 before I'm like, yeah, I'll trade you. So if you had an employee, so Linda's saying 45, which by the way is really low. You know, just to put in perspective, on the lowest end, a Shih Tzu was $20 in 1980. So $20. I'm trying to do this. $20. How much is now? So just to put in perspective, by the way, guys, if you were charging $20 in 1980 for a Shih Tzu, you would need to charge $72 just to have kept up with inflation. Just to have kept up with inflation. Not even how much better the industry is, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, if on the low, and by the way, also because we want to be able to pay our employees hourly and not salary, not commission. At $45, if I want to keep my payroll at 30%, right? And let's say that Yorkie takes an hour at $45. That means that I can pay my groomer $13 an hour, $14 an hour, which depending upon where you are, may be a livable wage, but for most of us, you can't even hide. Chick-fil-A is going to offer more money. If I took my 45, right, times 0.3, which is 30%, that's $13.50 an hour, right? That's all I could pay an employee if I want to keep my payroll under control. But let's say it was 50 because 50 is an easier number. How many $50 Yorkies? So if I had two groomers, I had one groomer who had a ton of Yorkies and one person with a doodle on their table. And the Yorkie person says, oh, I'm excited I get to do all these easy dogs. And the doodle person goes, I'll trade you two Yorkies to do this doodle. And the groomer goes, yeah, nah. How many Yorkies before the Yorkie groomer says, yes, I'll groom the doodle, is what's called your happy price. So for some of you guys, there is no number. For some of you guys, it's 4 or 5 Yorkies, right? So if for easy math, because, 50 is easier to do, if you would rather do 4 Yorkies than one doodle, then start your doodles at $200. I will say doodles, realistically, mini doodles should be about $250 to start. And that's because their coat is generally a combination coat. I can't hand a baby groomer a mini doodle because they're not, it's not like a Shih Tzu that has a mostly easy coat or a coat that can be figured out, right? So if I have someone who's been grooming for less than a year and I hand them a Shih Tzu, I can hand them a 4-blade. And sorry, you're going to strip this dog. But a doodle could have 3 different hair textures, right? Their ears are a different texture than the body, which is a different texture than the legs. And the tail's the same texture maybe as the ear if you're lucky. That takes a lot of skill for a groomer to be able to do that dog and make that dog actually look even, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And we need to charge them a lot. I blame us for the doodle epidemic. If we had stepped up and said, you know what? This is a really complicated dog. They have really unpredictable temperaments. They're difficult to groom. We're going to charge you $200 to $500 for a doodle. They would stop getting them. If we as an industry stood up and said, yeah, no, we're not touching them for less than $200, we would make all the difference. They'd either start grooming their own, which would not last long, Maybe they do that for like 6 months and their dog would look terrible. Or they'd be so mad at when they went to the vet would probably have to do a sedated shave, right? But not us, right? So, and that's something to think about. There's a lot of groomers that won't do doodles because you can't compete. And remember, if I went and I got a haircut at Supercuts, I know Supercuts, Fantastic Sam's, all those lower end places, right? Hey, Vanessa, great to see you live. We know all those lower end places, right? Well, what's the big deal with them? They're the cheapest. We need to see Petco and PetSmart as the Supercut, because Supercuts is going to charge me for just a haircut, right? They're going to charge me $20. And if I go to a professional stylist, I'm going to pay $40 to $80 for that same exact haircut and not be shocked. I love Massage Envy, but Massage Envy is $45 to $65 for a massage. If I go to a talented masseuse in my area, a massage therapist who specializes in sports therapy, it's going to be $200 plus an hour, sometimes even $400 an hour, compared to $55, $65, and sometimes even $45. I've definitely paid $45 more than once at Massage Envy, right? And there could be many reasons why they're more expensive, but that's their business model, right? And for us, it's like, okay, instead of trying to compete with these lower end businesses, it's tough. But it is time for us to step up and say no more. And Tiffany, I'd love for you to share if you were around, but it was really funny because like Tiffany is a student of mine and she's more than gracious to help. I would love to bring her on, but she has a grooming salon and everyone in her area, we went up to at least $20 to $40 more than everybody else, right? And it was so funny because she may be adding a grooming employee. And I said, all right, well, what's your competition at? Now, in Price Increase Masterclass, we teach you guys when you increase your prices to call all your competitors and just let them know there might be an influx of students. Why? Because if you go up to, for her, if you book online, you're 85. If you call, it's 100. So she probably called her competitors and said, listen, we're going up to $100 a dog, and her competitors, and she can tell you better, I don't know if they were like 20 or $40 less, but now they're $2.50 less than her. And that's a win, because when she had the balls to go up, they were like, oh, well, if she can do it, we can do it. And then you're not the most expensive, right? If you're, I want to say your community. If your community called you and said, hey guys, we're going up to $200 to start with doodles, all the doodles are going to call you. Maybe don't go up to $200, but you're probably going to go up to $150, or you're going to go up to have a situation where, you're going to end up with all the doodles, which again, and feel free, Tiffany, in the chat box, I'll pull it up when you post if you want to tell people like how much the difference was and then what happened. But I loved that we figured that out. I think that was amazing. I was so happy for you that you were able to change the local culture of the groomers. Yeah. So for her, they used to be less than $60 less than a year ago, and now they're $250 away. So she's at 85 or 100. So they're charging $82.50 now. So they went from charging less than $60 to $82.50 because she went up on her prices. Okay, she's at 85 when they book online. Perfect. Yeah. So they book online, they get the 85. If they call her and bug her, we charge an extra fee for that. So, but that's it. Like those people went up. That's 30% increase minimum. It's because she went first. And sometimes we have to go first, and then the community goes first. When we are too scared to go first, it's tough. And that's where I really love my price increase masterclass. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I know that sounds really crazy, but and we have two options. That we have the self-study, and then we also have the self-study with the 3 one-on-one coaching. And I don't mind if you guys want to do that. You want to join the class, do all the classes by yourself, fill all the stuff out. And let's have 3 one-on-ones where we talk about how to actually implement these things. Linda said all the groomers are getting together in our area to discuss prices. You got to be a little careful because technically, what is that called? Price fixing is illegal. However, if you're like, we're going to just actually, and that's, but you guys can't say, okay, we're not going to charge less than X. But if I said to you, I'm going to charge this, and you're like, okay, you decide to charge that. There's nothing wrong with that. As an industry, we need to go way up. Way up. Linda, what area are you in? And that's the tough part too, is like figuring out what you can do. We are way over time. So but it's been so fun. I love hanging out with you guys. Some days I wish I could do nothing but this. Like, this would be so much fun for me. Oh, that's right. You're in Illinois. Yeah. I mean, we are just been so low. It's incredible. And one last thing I will tell you guys, and again, whether you take my Price Increase Masterclass or not, Emily asked if the podcast went up yet. If you're talking about the Doodle one, not yet. Doodle Pro, Corinne, said that she will post in our Facebook group when it's up. So she's getting it edited and all that. It had streamed live into her group, and I laughed. Said, "Oh man, I should have had post into my group. That would have been so much fun." But yeah. So one thing I will mention really quickly is that remember, if you pull up on Zillow, what a 2-bedroom rental will be. All of these small places are getting bought up by corporations. Whatever the rent is, they have to a groomer has to qualify for 3 times that. And really quickly, I'm going to do the math really quick so you guys can see it. So if I need $2,000 a month for my apartment for a 2-bedroom, okay, that means I need to make $6,000 a month. Okay. So we take that $6,000 and we divide it by 4. That's $1,500 a month. Sorry, a week. $1,500 a week divided by 5 days a week. That's $300 a day. So if that groomer needs to make $300 a day, and we were going to keep our payroll at 30% or less, right? That means that groomer needs to bring in, ready? So we're going to so that groomer, in order to take home at $300 a day at 30%, they need to groom $1,000 a day's worth of dogs. So we had $1,000 times 0.3 is our $300. So that's why the industry needs to change. Because one groomer needs to be grossing $1,000. Gen Z and millennials are not going to groom 10 dogs a day. And some of you guys might, but your power groomers, bless. Okay. We have to change. I would like to see these $45 at $100, these $75, $85 at $150. If you get eyelash extensions, they're $200. Right? People can get things glued to their eyeballs for $200. I think I can squeeze anal glands, bathe and blow dry a dog, and give them a beautiful haircut for basically the same price. All right, guys. So I am way over time. It's at about 1:20. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming to the virtual happy hour. We will be doing another virtual happy hour next month. We will be posting when it is. Like I said, if you have questions, of course, come on, hang out with us. We would love that so much. And by we, I mean me and obviously my team. It's really fun when I get to talk with you guys, and it's kind of loose and fun. All right, guys. So yeah, Vanessa said, just look at the increase in the price of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Everything is going up. And a lot of it just hadn't gone up in a long time. Things are being kept artificially low. Calista said, are these once a month? Yes. So I do a virtual happy hour once a month. So every week we have a show, and those are generally informational. It's on one topic. And then once a month, generally the last Monday of the month, but depending upon family or travel, it might be a little bit different. But these are once a month. So Callista is in my group mentorship. So yes, hello again. I think I saw you earlier today. So these are still fun though. These are really a blast. I love them. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Actually, that's not true. I'm going to watch Big Brother, and then I'm going to bed because I'm that person. So it was awesome to see you guys. I really appreciate you. Check out my Facebook group. Check out my website. I have so many free resources for those of you guys that are not ready to invest or aren't in a financial position to invest. And we're going to have a awesome free workshop on the 8th, all about if a membership is right for you or not. I'm excited because I do think that you guys, and I tell you the good and the bad, there is bad to having a membership. You need to know the good and the bad. Is it for you or isn't it for you? Because if it is for you, great, let's move forward. If it's not, that's awesome too. All right. Not everything is for everyone, and there is nothing that is perfect. There is no cookie cutter. Nothing. All right, guys, have a great night. I'm going to go finish my wine, maybe another glass. I know you're yawning. Oh, pardon me. Oh, thank you so much, Heidi. Heidi said, thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you coming live and staying with me and humoring me. All right, guys, have a great evening. And as always,